We'll try this. Okay, so welcome to the Big Blue Book Club session number 4. And we are talking about the third section of the book, which is the Bluegrass region and Central Kentucky. And of course, here we are in the middle of the Bluegrass region. I think the sun's going to shine today for a little bit, maybe. But I think it is good that we are inside. We originally thought we might be outdoors for this session. And so being indoors is probably a good call because at any moment the sky might decide to open up and give us a little bit of rain. And I was telling Hannah and Marie earlier, I started my career in right here in Woodford County. I was an intern a lot of years ago, actually about 35 years ago here in Woodford County. And so I feel like, I'm a little bit home. I actually grew up in Jessamine County, so I really am home. This is where where my roots are. But Kentucky is our home, and so we are really excited that we have the opportunity to share about all of the wonderful things that happen throughout our state, because there are amazing locations, there are amazing things that happen in Kentucky, and some of them are so far off the beaten path that we just don't know about them if we don't happen to live in all of those little places. And so that's part of why we decided to do this book club and to do it the way that we're doing it, so that we can help people to understand and to know what is available wherever they might be traveling across our great state. So my partner in travel this year has been Dr. Amy Kostelic, who is our associate extension professor for adult development and aging. And she is really the brains behind this. I'm just I don't want to say I'm the technical person because I don't want to admit to that one today, do I? So she is the reason we're traveling all over the place.
Well, it was kind of interesting because we thought everybody looks at books and book clubs differently. And some people really latch on to, you get to read all these different kinds of books and genres. And then other people are like, I don't have time for a book club, or I don't want to participate in a group. And I kind of got involved because when it was this travel book, we thought, what an interesting way to help hook people through story across our state, and then to have these opportunities to be inspired to maybe do more travel within our state, because it seems like for a lot of us, we don't take the time to see what's in our own backyard. And we had thought this was a good way to do that, and then to highlight so much of where our FCS agents live and work and play and breathe. And so this is an opportunity to highlight that too. So we're so glad you're here today to look at the Bluegrass region and specifically Woodford.
Yeah. So we, normally I would just say, you know what, it's no big deal. We'll just go old school. But today we have a guest who is online, and that's why we have to make sure that we get the online to work. But before we get to her, we have guests who are not online. So Hannah, do you want to introduce Emily?
Sure, she's on her way.
Oh, she's on her way. Okay. Do you want to do first?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So our first guest is, sorry, I'm having a moment. LaToya Drake is our extension specialist for food access. Can you introduce her? Yeah.
And LaToya, you can kind of do a self-introduction as well.
For
sure. But LaToya wasn't able to be here. So let me give a breakdown or a rundown of how the book clubs have been working. So we're meeting at an extension office or in a specific county with a SCS agent as host. So Hannah is our host today in Woodford County. And so then we've brought in, working with the local agent to bring in some sort of guest speaker from the area. So today, Hannah, our guest speaker's name is?
Emily Downey.
Emily Downey, who is the director of Woodford County Tourism. And I had that a little bit wrong and specific words. all the words are somewhere in that jumble. And then we also have someone from Bart Cafe
Yeah.
who's here in Versailles, who's gonna tell us the unique features of that specific restaurant and offer an optional walking tour of downtown Versailles, assuming and hoping that the weather turns out okay. So when we started this, we did this, the same sort of way in, starting in Fulton County, if anyone's interested. We did, that was our kickoff was in, Frankfurt.
Franklin, yeah.
And we went to the History Center. And we had a guest speaker, the authors were there, and then we had a guest speaker from the History Center talk about, it was so interesting, if you want to go online to see it, and talked about the historic markers and how we get a historic marker, how they're maintained. It was just absolutely fascinating. Then we went out to Banana Festival, pre-Banana Festival in Fulton County, learned from the Fulton County Tourism Board all about the bananas in Fulton County, had a walking tour there as well. Then we moved a couple weeks ago to in Fulton, our specialist, our LaToya in Fulton County, talked about finances and how to travel on a budget and what that can look like. We moved then to Horse Cave in the Mammoth Cave area, where we took a tour of Hidden River Cave, talked to some specialists there. It was amazing. And then Dr. David Weisenhorn was the guest faculty specialist who talked about traveling with children and young teenagers. And then today we've got LaToya, who's going to talk about eating healthy, eating locally, in the areas where you travel. And then we'll have the Woodford County folk come in and wrap it up with us, as well as our local agents who are here, and Hannah highlight the Bluegrass area. So that wasn't the most rehearsed background for y'all, but that kind of gives an idea of what this has looked like along the way. And then before we wrap up today, we'll kind of give you a heads up on what the last two look like as well. So LaToya, take.
No, but I feel like I reside in Glasgow, Barron County, but I live all over the state with my job. Like yesterday, I was in E-Town, and tomorrow I'll be in Lexington. And then for this unit, I went to Versailles for a little bit, and I've got a video to add into this discussion as we get closer to the end, where I went to the Big Spring Park there. And I said it wrong in the video, but I did write it right. I said Big Springs Park, but it's a little bitty quaint little park in the heart of Versailles there. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a pretty day, and I've got a video to share with y'all. But let's start with PowerPoint. I want to talk about and learn making the most of meals while traveling, right? And healthy, fun, and budget-friendly tips for our next adventures. And I pulled this information from one of our good pubs that's titled Making the Most of Meals While Traveling, written by our very own, I think, Heather Norman Bergdorf, and Sally helped with that, and then somebody else too. So that's a great pub available through the publication resource database. So check that publication out. And as you guys know, or you might not know, I am with Kentucky's Nutrition Education Program. I'm an extension specialist for food access and engagement. And I really appreciate NEP because I'm a proud product of programs like NEP and like SNAP-Ed. My mother raised me with limited resources and her intelligence using those resources so that I didn't have to depend on those resources. But I'm proud of that, and I'm thankful for the work that we get to do in helping folks with limited resources. So check out your SNAP-Ed resources, planeatmove.com. Use those in your counties, use those in your homes. And there I am, a little bit about me. I just explained I'm a product of benefits programs like SNAP. Local food and food has changed my life. I really do have a dream career where I get to teach folks creatively about food and how to use food and how to access food. So I just really appreciate that. So that's just a bit about me. And let's get to the discussion. Because I was really surprised to find out that food can be a quarter of your budget when you're traveling, y'all. So that is a big chunk of money that it takes to fund eating. And I know it's probably more of my budget when I'm traveling because I'm really food focused and I'm a big foodie, so I like to try different stuff. But it could be up to a quarter of your food, of your budget. And then as we continue this conversation, we want to think about planning meals to save money and eating healthier while traveling. We want to think about packing smart snacks, drinks, and simple meal essentials. We want to think about using hotel and rental amenities for budget-friendly meals. We also want to make vacation meals fun and memorable and nutritious. And in thinking about using hotel amenities, if you are able to go on a vacation and book a hotel, think about booking a hotel that serves breakfast. That's going to help your budget. Let's see here. So before we go, sorry guys. There we go. So you want to plan before you go, and you want to make sure that you have an idea. Sure that you bring non-perishable snacks from your home, like granola bars, trail mix, nuts. You want to pack simple staples that you can cook in the hotel and with the microwave, like oatmeal, canned soup, if that's anything, if you're really on a budget. You also want to plan when you're going to cook, when you're going to picnic, when you're going to dine out. You want to plan your meals for your entire trip before you leave your house. So on the way, you want to be prepared. You want to shop smart. You want to organize your food smartly. So also think about shopping at those roadside markets, those farmers markets when you are traveling to support local, right? Those hole-in-the-wall international stores. I really love a good Hispanic store, a good international store to find different types of foods. Consider that too, to make that part of your experience when you are traveling. Shop for bulk snacks and divide those snacks as you go. Bring your own cooler or 2 coolers, right? Think about a cooler for drinks. Think about a cooler for food and perishable items. So pack shelf-stable items like jerky and dried fruits and snacks. Things that if you don't have food available, you won't have to worry about food because you'll have a granola bar or something else to eat. And avoid overpriced bottled waters by bringing your own bottle to refill. You can refill bottles at airports and rest stops, and hotels have bottle fillers now. Stop by the local extension office in that county, right? Sometimes they have bottle fillers that you can fill your bottle up with. And thinking about packing your cooler, this is available at planeatmove.com. There's an area of blogs called Disaster Prepared. And one of those blogs details how to pack a cooler and includes this infographic. This is something that you can use in your what are those newsletters? You can put that in there if you're doing a summertime newsletter. Please use those resources available at Plan Eat Move in your newsletters if you're an agent, and in your home if you're not. Just great little tips there. This one's on how to pack a cooler. And then while you're there, and this would be the hard part to me because I'm such a foodie, so I'm just going to plan that in my plan. But you want to stick to your plan and be mindful of food safety and hygiene things. But stick to your plan. Do what you say you're going to do. Follow that budget. Think about eating out for lunch because sometimes those lunch prices are a bit cheaper than dinner time prices, right? So think about eating out for your brunch or your lunchtime and then eating in at dinner time. And then when you are cooking and when you're having meals at your Airbnb or your suite, your hotel, wherever that is, at your family's home, if you're staying with someone, make the meals healthy and fun. Like think about a theme night, right? Try like a pizza or movie night, a taco bar. Do something different than you might not necessarily do at home, but just when you're not at home, it's going to be special and different just because you're not at home. And think about trying new cuisines and different flavors when you're away from home to make things special. And get the whole family involved in preparing and grocery shopping and getting ready. Budget for occasional treats. Make sure you include treats because it's about balance, right? So you want to just make sure that you're following the plan. And here's some key takeaways as we think about eating healthy on the road. We want to choose lodging with kitchens or kitchenettes. We want to map out our meals and set a food budget early. So map out our meals. If you're going to be away for a weekend, think about what you're going to eat for all 3 or 2 or whatever meals you're going to eat. You want to pack smart. Bring healthy snacks. So apples, bring fruits, bring vegetables, bring healthy snacks, because you don't want to not eat healthy just because you're traveling. Bring healthy snacks and reusable water bottles to save money on water. Use travel mugs to save money at coffee shops. Pack shelf-stable foods and basic spices so that you can cook in your hotel or your Airbnb or your family's home or wherever you're staying. Bring what you need so you can cook those basic things. And think about, you can use hotel appliances to cook simply in your room. You can use the coffee maker to get water hot, to make noodles in your room if you want to just have a quick snack or a meal like that. Also use grocery pickup or delivery to avoid impulse buying. That's something that I appreciate doing in my daily life, using that as a tool to avoid going into the big box store, to avoid spending extra money. And then you want to eat healthy, so prioritize fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Make breakfast a daily priority. And remember, consider staying at a hotel that provides breakfast on site, because then that will be a priority. That'll be cost that's already figured in. And then again, make those meals fun. So try new cuisines, host picnic challenges and themed dinners, and budget for those special treats. So plan ahead. Start 3 months or more saving and budgeting for the food that's going to be a quarter of your budget when you're traveling. So when you're thinking about those recipes and planning your meals while you're traveling, think about looking at planeatmove.com. That is our Kentucky Nutrition Education Program public-facing website, and there's even different categories. You can find one for low or no cook options. You can find those plated up Kentucky Proud recipes that are budget friendly and dietitian approved from our dietitian Jeannie on those sites. You can look through those categories. Check it out. We're always adding new ones, and we always want to continue to add new creative and flavorful recipes. So if you have any you'd like to submit, reach out to Jeannie too. Okay, so let me share a different screen because I made a video for y'all on my Kentucky road trip when I came to Versailles. So let me get that for y'all. There's so many screens. What have I done? Where, this is my brain. Like, look at this. There it is. Okay. Can y'all see it?
Yep.
Alrighty then. Not me, behind myself. Okay. Hey y'all, I'm LaToya Drake, Extension Specialist for Food Access and Engagement with Kentucky's Nutrition Education Program, and I'm here in the beautiful Woodford County in Versailles at their Big Springs Park. When you're on the road, the last thing you want to feel is sick from unsafe food, believe me. But with a few easy steps, you can keep your travels worry-free and your meals delicious and safe. Let's talk about how to keep your food safe while traveling. Whether you're road tripping to Mammoth Cave across the state or a weekend getaway to the Gorge, you want to focus on enjoying your journey instead of worrying about food safety. First, to do that, pack smart for the trip. Think about your cooler essentials. A good cooler is your best friend on the road. Stock it with ice packs, frozen gel packs, ice cubes, ice in bags. Keep your perishables safe. Keep cold foods cold and hot foods hot, but keep those cold foods cold and consider bringing another cooler to keep your beverages in. Make sure you pack to avoid cross-contamination. Store your raw meats below your ready-to-eat foods. And remember to pack only what you'll need to avoid unnecessary waste. Keep your food at the right temperature. Remember to know the danger zone. Whether you're picnicking by the roadside or eating in your car, remember that food can spoil quickly. The danger zone for bacteria is between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees. So keep your cold foods cold again and your hot foods hot to avoid foodborne illnesses. Make sure during long drives or rest stops not to leave perishable items out more than 2 hours. On those super hot days, that time drops to just under an hour. So be sure to eat quickly and refrigerate those foods back up. Also, keep your hands clean. That's something that we can do, right? Keep those hands clean. Keep good hand hygiene on the road. When you're on the move and traveling, it's easy to forget to wash your hands, but always wash with soap and water for 20 seconds before handling food. If you don't have access to water, carry hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Clean those surfaces if you're eating at a rest stop, or use a tablecloth at a park. Be sure to wipe down surfaces and utensils with disinfectant wipes that might have germs or residue left behind. And also be sure to handle your food safely on the go, right? Avoid cross-contamination. Keep raw meat separate from ready foods like fruits, salads, and snacks. If possible, bring separate coolers. And be sure to cook safely on the road. If you're going to grill or cook while camping or at a rest area, use a food thermometer to make sure your meats are cooked thoroughly. For example, 160 degrees for ground beef and 165 for poultry, right? Traveling means you might have leftovers. To keep them safe, refrigerate or freeze them within 2 hours. Use small containers so things cool quickly in your cooler. And also have alternatives for longer road trips. Consider bringing foods like jerky and nuts or canned items that won't spoil in the heat and will give you peace of mind even when there's not a refrigerator, right? Keep food safe even when you're sick. With just a few simple steps like packing a cooler, keeping your food at the right temperature, cleaning your hands and surfaces, and handling food properly, you can enjoy safe, delicious meals on the road no matter where you're headed. So reach out to your local extension office for more tips on food safety, nutrition, health, family, home, all the good ag and food things. Contact the extension office in all 120 Kentucky counties.
Any questions?
I have a question, LaToya. What is your recommendation with keeping a grill clean? So if you go to a park like Big Spring and you have these public grills where maybe someone, grilled some salmon and now I'm gonna grill a burger and someone else is gonna grill some, I don't know, asparagus. Are there any tips for?
Sure, I would come prepared, even though it costs a little bit of money, but you can find aluminum foil or parchment paper at your local Dollar Trees. But I would come prepared with those kind of items to use with the grill, and even wadded up aluminum foil. You can clean a grill like that because you'll want to avoid those those metal wire brushes at times. Sometimes they can fall apart and get in your food and cause issue. So just a wadded up piece of aluminum can get that grill clean, and use that aluminum to cook on to avoid other people's germs. Also, if you want to light your grill and let the fire burn some of those residues off as well.
Other questions? LaToya, thank you so much.
Thank you for all, we're learning together and we're growing together. So thank y'all.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you, friend, and we'll see you. You're welcome to hang around.
I was going to listen.
All righty. And now, Hannah, do you want to introduce Emily?
Yes, so. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Thornsberry, and I am the Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Agent here in Woodford County. And today we have Emily Downey with us, and she's the Director of Tourism at the Woodford County Chamber. They're two separate entities. Close. Okay, close. And we actually get to work really closely with Emily all throughout the year because she helps run our Leadership Woodford County program, which is a group that we also lead and we take to do different things every month. And we help them to make connections with people who are big leaders in the community and give them the opportunity to see how these leaders run the things that they do. And so Emily is a big supporter of Extension, and we really appreciate her. And she's just going to talk to you all a little bit about what she does, and then also about the different tourism aspects in Woodford County and the wonderful place that it is. Yeah, that's great. Well, it's nice to see you guys. As she said, I'm Emily Downey. We have a one-stop shop in Woodford County, and together downtown is our office, and it is with the Economic Development Authority. My colleague and friend Lucas Witt runs that agency. But we're all in the same office, and tourism and chamber. And so why we believe that's really, really important is because when somebody comes to town and they want to open a business, or they're moving to town, or they're visiting us, they don't really care who we are, what we do. They just want the answer. They need the map, they need the information. And so we work together to be a one-stop shop for everybody in Woodford County through what we call the Woodford Business Center. So at Seconds is our visitor center in Versailles. We also have a visitor center in Midway. Hi, I see a familiar face. I love that. So, that is downtown Versailles, and our second city that we have in Woodford County is Midway. It's a beautiful, quaint railroad town, one of the first. And the train still runs as an active train today through the town. If you don't have Midway on your radar, you've got to come back and go to Midway. The lights are strong, there's music playing, the holidays are great, Santa comes in on the train. But it's really known for its culinary scene. It's really cute boutiques and small shops, a really cute bookstore that's in an old bank, and the reading nook in the bank is in the vault. So it's just a really, really neat city, filled with lots of great attractions. Bluegrass Distillers is moving here from Lexington. They'll keep their Lexington location, but they bought a farm, and they have a full farm distillery there. And Equus Run Vineyard, if you've ever heard of Equus Run, it's in Midway as well, right off Leestown Road. So lots of really, really great attractions that run along Elkhorn Creek there. In Woodford County and downtown Versailles, we are in a huge revitalization upswing. And if you've been here before, I invite you to go downtown, because it's gonna look completely different than even just a couple of years ago. So it's been a really, really exciting time for us, even amidst COVID, to come out on this upward trajectory. And what I attribute that to is so many folks working very, very closely together. It would not happen if it weren't for public, private, nonprofits, church groups, the extension office, everyone working together collectively. In the past couple of years, we just built a brand new high school. If you have been in our high school for any function, you knew it was much outdated and much needed. So our students just over Christmas break moved into a brand new state-of-the-art high school, and all of the facilities and amenities that you can imagine in today's learning environment. In addition to that, she mentioned Big Spring Park. It is under it actually cannot go today. It is closed off because it is under a multi-million-dollar renovation. So it's very unique to have this huge amount of green space right downtown. But what we wanted to do was connect it to our main street. It's a bit hidden. There's not a ton of bad activity and crime here. We're very fortunate. We live in a little bit of what we like to say is Mayberry, but the activity that could go on if it is at night, right in the dark, behind. So we want to bring that park up, and through that process, there's been a parking lot that's been totally renovated into another multi-million-dollar, about a $4 million investment project through the city of Versailles, the county, and private and public donors. And so that P3 partnership allowed us to build what we call the district. It's the entertainment, market and entertainment district. Short, we call it the district. So it is a parking lot by day. You guys might hear in a lot of your towns that you guys also hear parking is the #1 issue from locals, right? Which you don't mind to go park at the other side of Walmart and walk to the produce section if you're in the garden section, right? But when you come downtown, people expect, at least the locals, our visitors not so much, but our locals expect to be able to park in close proximity or in viewing distance of the establishment that they're gonna patron. And so the great news is, while we have a ton of parking, all of our parking is free, we're doing a better job of identifying our lots. We're working on a wayfinding signage program for that, and new parking signage. But the parking lot still exists by day. And then in Woodford County, we love our green space, and so we want to continue with that. So we built on a parking lot. And one of the highest uses of that parking lot, which I think in total we only lost like 6 spots, is a stage, a total huge entertainment stage. It's got a green room attached to it. It's got state-of-the-art
AV, equipment, so our theater can use it, our dance, performers can use it, concert series can use it. On the other side of the parking lot is a 3 Seasons pavilion and an open air pavilion, and that makes a bit of an L. And so think about things like, Sunday markets and our farmers market on Saturday morning, and just so many other events that can happen down there. In addition to that, we have what's called the source, and it's a water source. It's a piece of karst water that comes out behind our courthouse. It's a water source that feeds into Blaine's Creek and runs all the way out from downtown Versailles to where Woodford Reserve is, Castle and Key is. And it also feeds a lot of the horse farms that you see. So, if you're looking at the Derby and you see Ashford on there, or a number of our Triple Crown winners, that creek feeds all the way out there. And so we think that our water, as you guys probably have, limestone water in Kentucky, right, is our secret sauce to a lot of what makes Woodford County and Kentucky so beautiful and so unique. It feeds our horses, it feeds our bourbon, it feeds the grass and the agriculture that we're able to grow here. So with all of that being said, we are teaming up with a number of other communities who also claim this, but we currently have the registered trademark for Birthplace of Bourbon. And one of the reasons that it was really important for us to do that was because of our history, dating back to Jack Jewett. We have Jack Jewett's house here, and Big Spring Park was actually an enslaved community, but in a lot of these farms, they also were working distilleries, and they were distilling things before we even had the process perfected, right? And James Crowe, he is what they call the father of bourbon. He came over from Ireland and Scotland and took that perfected distilling method and made what we know today is Kentucky straight bourbon. He's buried in the Versailles Cemetery. So there's a lot of really cool stories that we have in and around that. Because of our rich agriculture history and tradition, we also call ourselves the Napa Valley of the East. We have 4 wineries here, one more coming. Actually, a business that's in California in Napa Valley is bringing one of their operations here. And they're building on a horse farm, and they're gonna grow vines. So we have ideal growing seasons. We have the natural resources to make all of that perfection. So we're just trying to capitalize on that. And those are some of the tourism messages that you'll see out and about. If you're gonna watch Derby, you're gonna see Birthplace of Bourbon in a commercial to welcome you to Woodford County. So as people are sipping on their official drink of the Woodford Reserve Bourbon in their julep at home or at the Churchill, they will hopefully then think about Woodford County and making it a destination. One of the reasons that's so important for us, we are in great driving proximity, as most of Kentucky is, and 80% of the US population. So there's a lot to capture post-COVID. We know that people are coming, they're yearning for small town experiences. I often say that people in our community are the characters in our story, and they're what makes it so special. When you go to any other small town and you walk on a main street, you're not gonna get that same sort of hospitality as you are in Kentucky. I think you guys all know what that experience is, and people are yearning to come and experience that. So we're capitalizing on that. And we're also trying to separate ourselves a little bit. We think that it's now time to separate ourselves if people are actually in the booking process from a Lexington or Louisville or Cincinnati. We think we can hold our own and actually have them stay here. So we're working on that. We have a new hotel coming. It's called the Aldenburg. It's a micro distillery and hotel. We have one Holiday Inn, a lot of Airbnbs and short-term rentals. And then we have another facility called the Woodford Hotel, and it's all bourbon themed suites. If you haven't seen anything like that, you have to look it up online and check out the photos. It is phenomenal. It's a self-service hotel. So now that we have the lodging component to be able to welcome people here and then actually have them to stay, that's what we're working on. Not that we still don't want to partner regionally. We do that daily. We work really hard on regional campaigns like our Joyride campaign and others. But we do feel like that we're at a turning point where we're able to actually welcome them to stay here. So that is a piece of growth in tourism in Woodford County that we're seeing and we're excited about. Just a little bit about our chamber side of things. We run a lot of programs, a few that you guys might be interested in. When I first came on, I came on during COVID, both tourism and chamber. And one of the groups that we started was a nonprofit roundtable. There are so many nonprofits in Woodford County that serve great needs and gaps in our community, but a lot of them didn't have the tools and resources for a full-time staff or a philanthropist on staff and a marketing person on staff. So instead of being in competition with one another for volunteers, for money, what they decided and what we came up with was a nonprofit roundtable where those nonprofits actually get together once a month at our office. And they do joint projects together, they do joint networking together, they do joint awareness of what they all do and how different they are, but how crucial they all are. So when you think about, when I go back to my original message on everybody working together, this is the theme, the tide rises all ships. And so we're investing across the board and people are working together in ways that they just never have before. So that is so exciting to be just a small part of that. We have a women's conference coming up. I invite you guys all to come back. That's July 18th. It is going to be the Kentucky Women's Conference, a phenomenal program, 9 to 4. You will have everything from women's health to financial planning to communication and leadership, fun giveaways, all sorts of things. So I invite you guys to come take part of that. We also really focus on health and wellness in Woodford County. Not only is it a big industry for us and we're trying to keep our local hospital and help them get back up and going, but they brought a lot of services here that we've never had before. I have 4 kids. And last year was the first year that we had a pediatrician in Woodford County. So that's a really big deal, and it's kind of hard to believe in 2025 that we didn't have one until last year, but now we have a pediatrician again, and all sorts of specialty services through the hospital and their joint partnerships. So we are really focused on what we believe. You can't have a community or workforce if you don't have a healthy community and a healthy workforce. So we do a ton in the health and wellness space. Trying to get information out there, proactive health information, mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're doing a whole series, an in-person series. Mondays are Mental Health Mondays. So we have in-person, we have a podcast series going on and a social media campaign. So just a whole host of things that you may not see a traditional chamber really investing in that we really believe kind of set us apart and make us be an irreplaceable part of the community, or we hope that that is the case. So I invite you guys to continue to stay, as she mentioned, go walk around downtown. It is beautiful. You'll have so many cute shops. There's so many unique experiences. We have a passport. We have an app if you'd like to download our app. You can go to our event calendar there too. You can see all of the summer events from Castle and Key, their music series that they have on their lawn every Wednesday night to big events. I'm sure you've heard of Midway Fall Festival or Twilight Festival. So everything in between, all of those are on our event calendar. And if you like an app, you can get that in app form too. So it's the website and the app, and it's all Visit Woodford. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming to Woodford County. We're really excited for what's to come. So don't let this be your last time here. We invite you to come and bring a friend back. And if you do stop by our office downtown, we'd love to say hello. Any questions for me? Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. If there's anything, Hannah can get in touch with me and we'd be happy to help you guys out with whatever you need.
Thank you, Emily.
For the next session. The next session, we're going to Henry County, which is just a little bit up the road, not too far. And we're going to the Renaissance Fair, which is the Kentucky Renaissance Fair, the grounds of the Renaissance Fair. The Renaissance Fair doesn't actually start until the end of May, and it goes through July, but we're going to the grounds of the Renaissance Fair. But we're going to hear all about the Renaissance Fair and all of that fun stuff. But we're also going to hear from Amy and Natisse Dockery, who is our assistant clinical professor for mental health and well-being, which is appropriate since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, as we just heard. And so that's going to be May the 13th, and I think Henry County and minutes. So we're looking forward to that for our 5th session. And then our final session, we're heading to Harlan County. So we're going to be, I haven't mentioned, we have a whole a host of visitors in the back of the room who are from Perry County. And we're just delighted that you all made the trip this morning. Y'all can come back to
We made our road trip.
yeah, you all made the road trip. So I guess we could find out where everybody's from. We know that they're all from Perry County.
No, I'm Perry County.
You're Perry County too, okay. Where else?
Harrison County.
Harrison County. Mr. Mom?
No.
No, okay. You just said Harrison County, I just thought she was with you, okay.
She is, but
But yeah, I mean, she's got blonde hair.
I'll claim her.
Okay, all right. So Harrison County,
Garrett County.
there, oh, yes, Kayla, okay, yes.
I'm in Jefferson County.
I'm in Lexington and I just moved here, so I don't know the county. Rochester, Minnesota.
Wow, she might be our furthest
Yeah.
road traveler, that's right.
Woodford County,
And you're furthest from here, Woodford.
Oldham County.
Oldham County, so were you at our first one? Oh, okay, we had someone from Oldham, no, she was from Henry County, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That came to, so we had, you're from here? Not county.
Oh,
Oh, okay, so see,
that's where my entire family's from.
when I told Hannah that we had the group coming from Perry County, she said, I should have told my family to come over and ride with them.
I said I should have called my grandma and my papa, said, what are you doing today?
So they could have, everybody could have come. So Amy is also from Minnesota.
Minnesota girl.
So that's
I've
how,
been here a long time.
but she's been here, have you been here longer than you were in?
Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's,
So you're a Kentucky girl.
so she's a Kentucky girl now, yeah. Okay, so Hannah is I should do an introduction to you. So Hannah is our extension agent for Family and Consumer Science here in Woodford County. How long have you been here? 3 years?
1.5.
1.5.
I started in September of 23rd.
So, yeah, I tell you, time flies when you're having fun, and she is a barrel of fun, so that's why I think she's been around forever.
So bear with me because I have a lot of counties to talk about that are not all my strong suit. I'm honestly not sure if I've been to everyone, but our wonderful agents in each of the counties that are my peers have made slides for us, or Amy took their information and made a slide for them. And so we've got lots of information on places that are around this area. So we'll
Some
go.
of some of the agents' favorite things.
Yeah, some of
in
the
these
agents'
areas.
favorite things
Yeah.
to do, so. It'll be exciting. So we're gonna start with Woodford County. I know that Emily talked a little bit about the Jack Jewett House, that if you like history, you can go and take a tour of it and learn a little bit more. One of my favorite things here is the Kentucky Castle. I was talking to some people earlier. I told them I moved back to Lexington because I live in Fayette County and from working from Disney. I lived in Orlando and I said, you know, it keeps me sane, the fact that I pass a castle every day on my way to work. It gives me that little bit of Disney magic that I miss so much. If you ever have the opportunity to go to the Woodford Theater, it is actually, let me get my bearings. Where are we? Okay, it's over here. So super close, it's a stone's throw away, and they put on some fantastic shows. Eckert's Orchard is a locally ran farm here in Woodford County. It is wonderful. I try and go at least twice a year and go visit. I'll find a pumpkin, I'll buy some apple cider. They have some really good apple cider donuts. The manager is wonderful. It's actually our agriculture agent's sister, so she's pretty great. And then the Bluegrass Railroad Museum, they not only have a museum, but they also have a train that you can ride on. But something that's really neat about that is that there is also a thing called the Bluegrass Rail Explorers. And what you do on that is you get to ride on a contraption of sorts that is on the train tracks, but you pedal. And you don't have to pedal, you just can pedal if you would like. And it takes you all the way down to the gorge, I believe, and back. And it is maybe not that far, but it's beautiful. And I've been told that the best time to go is in the fall. So if you are ever here in the fall, make sure to check out Bluegrass Rail Explorers. And then we have the Glitz. It is a restaurant and it is fantastic. The Glitz is, first of all, delicious food. The owners actually and the chef do not give out some of their recipes because it is a family secret and they want to keep it, you know, within their family, and it's a family run business. They also are in this giant building that is called Irish Acres Gallery. The family loves to travel, so they will go all over the world and buy things and bring them back and sell them locally. So that even if you don't get the opportunity to go to England or to France or to, you know, Japan, but you want to buy something from there, they might have something. So it's a really neat place to go. And it is, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. They also have the best spritzer I've ever had. It's this little apple cider goodness. Yeah, spritzer. And then, of course, I have to mention Woodford Reserve. We, you know, are from Kentucky. Bourbon is a big part of who we are and our history. Woodford Reserve is not only for the bourbon lovers, it's for the beauty lovers because it is gorgeous, especially at Christmas time. If you have the opportunity to visit at Christmas time, I would because they have lights up and it's just a magical place. So that's a little bit about some of the things I love about our county. Shelley, would you like to talk about your county?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, I will be improvising as well. Yes, so I guess I've chosen, first of all, I'm Shelley Meyer. I am the Family and Consumer Science Agent in Harrison County, and I brought Mona with me. She's very involved with a lot of our extension programs and was excited just to come hang out for the day and kind of see some of the tourism around our area here in Kentucky. I have chosen this slide to feature our fall destination, and we do claim to be the #1 fall destination for Kentucky. And Cynthiana is our small town there in Harrison County. But I have kind of shown some pictures up through here. We're gorgeous in the fall time. So not only do we have our trees and our trails that you can see when you're there, but we have a historic Rawls Opera House that it's one of the most haunted places in Kentucky. I think it's on the list even for the nation. And you can schedule year round to come and spend the night there, see if you have any experiences with any ghosts that might be around. Of course, through September and October, every Friday and Saturday, there's multiple opportunities to sign up for tours to do ghost walks. So they have them scheduled like every 30 minutes or every hour, you could be a part of that. So 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And they have tour guides. So this is a picture of one of the guys there locally that will take you around. It's all in walking distance, but you can start there at Rawls Opera House and you'll just walk a couple blocks maybe that you'll venture around in Cynthiana, but they'll take you to our old jail house. There's an old, bunch of our buildings in downtown Cynthiana are historic, but one of them used to be like a hotel. They tell you the story about a boy that went missing, but now multiple times his ghost, if you will, is seen at Rawls Opera House. And the story was that his parents were at the theater the night that it caught fire, and he went to go find them, and they got away, came back to where their son was, and they never found him. But he's still in the outfit and everything that he was in. It has still been seen multiple times there at the Rawls Opera House. And that's just one of many stories that you might hear if you do these ghost walks. So it's a really cool experience. I will say those book up. So they put sales out for the tickets. If you are interested and going to make a trip to Cynthiana, make sure you go online to the Rawls Opera House and book your spot and your ticket. Because you don't just want to show up and there not be a tour that night.
I'll say the same thing about the Rail Explorers. If that's something that sounds interesting to you for this fall, I would go ahead and start looking at dates.
There you go.
So
Yes.
we're the same way.
It's well worth it to plan for those things. Skeleton displays are very popular in Cynthiana. We have sold well over 1,000 skeletons that are on display throughout the town and surrounding states. They've been sold all across the country, really. I think some have even gone international because we have a small little skeleton adoption agency there in Cynthiana. So you can come walk through the skeletons. There's always a few out on display with their little birth certificates. So you can adopt the skeleton that seems as the right fit for your home. And it's really cute. The tourism director, chamber director sign off on it. And then you get your papers. So I have Ben Radlin is one of my skeletons, and I've got another one, and I can't think of his name right now. But we've adopted a couple in my household. But it's so cute because these skeleton displays go out in Cynthiana. So just all around downtown, if you go anywhere throughout the county, you'll see these skeletons. And I want to say we have 4 giant skeletons, and trying to think, are they 20-foot tall? I'm looking at Lona. I'm not sure if she would know. I mean,
I think
they're cute. Yeah.
big ones.
Yes.
About that size.
Yes. So a couple of those tall skeletons hang out at our sign that welcomes you kind of into Cynthiana. It's our electronic sign, but then a couple more find different places each year. One was on top of one of our buildings one year, so you could see him looking like he was about to step off the building. So just fun with the adventures that we have. A lot of the homes in Cynthiana go all out with their displays, and we've got a couple there, like, is it Pike Street, that just, their displays are immaculate. We had a couple that did boats, like displays this past year, so good. And they have tons of skeletons on the boats that serve as pirates, and just, they do an excellent job. And some of them will keep their skeletons out year round and incorporate whatever it is. So Christmas time, Valentine's, so a couple might get engaged in the community and they'll have two skeletons out there proposing to the other one, just representing the big event that happened. So it's kind of cool how that theme plays throughout the year. Anytime in October and September, really, if you come and visit us in the fall, there's typically a festival that goes on throughout the weekend. So the extension office, we have partnered with our tourism. We put on the big giant pumpkin contest for the community. So we put that at the courthouse. It's ties into our fall theme, but we also do like a Till Pumpkin Project trunk or treat with that. So it's become kind of a big event for the community, but that's just one weekend. So there's the Thriller nights where a bunch of people learn the Thriller dance and then they go down Main Street and they're all performing. There's Witches Night Out. So there's a group that they dress up like witches. They're actually a charity group. So some of their profits go towards a local charity, but I can't think which charity it is. I don't know, Lona, if you know offhand. So they serve, you know, a purpose, but then of course they do a lot during our fall time. There's pumpkin carving that happens one weekend. There's the Honey Festival is always in September. It's a very big festival that draws a big crowd. So just lots of things. The creators of The Walking Dead were born in Cynthiana. They went on and did great things. They came up with that whole Walking Dead series and comic books. Big time. One of them's married to an individual that kind of came back and had given back to the community in ways of restoring one of our big event venues. So Ashford Acres, excuse me. Some of you maybe have heard of it. It is a really nice location in Cynthiana. They stay booked with weddings throughout the year. Typically, those individuals are not even from Harrison County. So they've done a few individuals from Harrison County weddings, but usually they're drawing in people from all over the state or even the country. It's a really nice venue. I know that they helped restore some of Ross Opera House with a new movie screen and things like that. So just fortunate to have them there in the county. And I've kind of focused, like I said, on the fall stuff, but we have great things year round. I love our little town, great places to eat, lots of little boutiques to shop at, local restaurants, just lots to do. We have the start of a walking, like a river walk there through the river that runs through our town. So the start of that's got some little Airbnbs that are located on the river. Some of our restaurants have incorporated patios that you can eat right there on the river, and there's plans for expansion, so hopefully we'll see that. One of our big parks has a splash pad that just got implemented last year, and it is, I think, the largest splash pad within lots of counties.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a water park, it is a splash pad, but for most people, that's usually pretty small, and this was a really nice one of the largest ones within a large radius of where we're at. So I'll stop there, but we love Cynthiana, come see us. Call the extension office, and we can help hook you up with some events that might be happening locally as well.
Great. I feel like I didn't talk about Woodford County enough. That was amazing.
Next, we have Madison County.
So Madison County is in the Richmond area. And they have, of course, Eastern Kentucky University, so, you know, some roll kernels, as some of my friends would say. They also have Berea College, which is a smaller college. It's absolutely adorable, and I've heard nothing but wonderful things about it. Then I believe, does she have a picture of Whitehall up? No,
But you got their, somewhere I saw it.
Well, that says Boone Tavern.
Where was the? Oh, she talks about it.
Yeah, she talks about it. So Whitehall is a gorgeous estate, and it was home to two of our Kentucky statesmen. Let's see, General Green Clay and his son, General Cassius Marcellus Clay, as well as suffragists Mary Barr Clay and Laura Clay. Now, if you've ever had the opportunity to go and visit, I would visit in the spring or the fall. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. I've been out there a couple of times. And then Berea is also the arts and crafts capital of Kentucky. So if you're gonna go take a visit to Berea College, you could also go around the time of their, festivals that they have there. They have lots of different arts and crafts things, and it's very interesting. If you have the opportunity, if you like to hike, the Pinnacles are honestly one of my favorite hiking destinations in all of Kentucky. They are absolutely beautiful, and it is a nice exercise because, you get to move and group, but also you get to see a beautiful thing at the end. They have lots of public lakes and fishing and kayaking, places like Lake Reba, Wilgreen, Owsley, Fork, and Whitehall. And then at the Madison County, I didn't know this, is in the top three counties in the state for beef production, which I don't think when you think of beef production, we typically think of Richmond, but that's something very interesting to think about. And then they also have some really interesting history there. If you are a history buff, they have a battlefield park, which is in the Battle of Richmond, but then also Fort Boonesborough. If you ever have the opportunity to tour Fort Boonesborough, I highly suggest you do it. It's really, really interesting. I went as a child and I still think about it. The log cabins are very cool. And now we're on to Clark County, which is more of the Winchester area. So Clark County has the Halls on the River, which is a fantastic restaurant down by the river. I suggest going in the fall, maybe late summer. If you go right in the middle of summer, it does get really toasty down there because with the river right there, it gets a little humid, but honestly, the food is worth it. So I would just go whenever you can. They do have the L8 factory there, and I don't know if you still can. I believe you still can, but used to you could tour the L8 factory. I think you still can. And it's really, I've heard really, really good things about it, and so I would highly recommend, and I believe you get to taste some at the end. And if you've not had L8, you're missing out. It's pretty wonderful. And what else does Shonda have for us? They have a beer cheese festival that I believe this might be at the same time. I think this is all one. So the Beer Cheese Festival has lots of different things. It says woodworking, t-shirts, candles, sweets and snacks, jewelry, body care, photographs and paintings, ceramics, and more. And my guess is there's a whole lot of beer cheese you can try. If it's anything like Knox County and the Gingerbread Festival, there are probably lots of different people's, beer cheese that you can try. And I think these are all pictures. So as you can tell, it gets a little busy. On to Fayette County. So this is where I am from, and our wonderful agents Miranda Brooks and Caroline made this. So over in the top right corner, we have the Kentucky Theater. Kentucky Theater is downtown on Main Street, and it is a smaller theater, not what you would typically think of for a movie theater, but they play different movies throughout different times of year. Typically one that you can count on is Rocky Picture Horror Show will always play around Halloween. There are some really fun ones they do randomly. My first memory of going to a movie is actually at the Kentucky Theater. I believe I was around 3 years old and they were playing Mary Poppins. So my mom just had to take us. And then I have never been to La Deauville, but I want to. It is on my list. It is on the corner downtown. It is the cutest little green shop, and I've heard nothing but really good things. I believe it's Italian. French. It's French. Okay, well, it's a French name. It's Le, isn't it? Le Deauville. So it's Le Deauville is actually how you say it. But anyway, yeah, it's French. So, and there are some really great restaurants downtown. You really can't find a bad one. And then Raven Run Sanctuary is a gorgeous outdoor nature sanctuary, and they have lots of trails where you can hike. It's goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. So you've got some pretty intense hikes that you'd have to go more up in the mountains, but then also some pretty flat paved roads as well if you're more of just a casual stroller. There are also some pretty interesting music festivals that happen, like Dance Amphitheater has some stuff, and then neighborhood music venues and festivals. Lots of times some of the parks that are there will have live music and smaller festivals. Jacobson Park will have some sometimes. That's out on Richmond Road in Lexington. And then, of course, we have Keeneland. A lot of times people will think Keeneland is actually in Woodford County. We get the claim to fame of the Kentucky Castle, but we do have to give Keeneland over to Fayette County. So that is obviously we are the horse capital of the world. Kentucky is, and so Keeneland is a beautiful place to watch horse racing and embrace our culture of Kentucky. And if you've not had Burgoo, it might sound strange, but you need to go to Keeneland and have some Burgoo because it's really good. And then they have highlighted the Joseph Beth bookstore, which is closer to the south side of Lexington, and it is any book lover's dream. It is a huge bookstore filled with every genre, and it is beautiful. You walk outside, there's a lake. It is really just perfect if you would like to spend a day just browsing and then even sitting down and reading a book. It's pretty great. You can't tell I love Lexington. Now we're in Lincoln County. So this is going to be where I read a little bit more. So we have Alcorn Homestead, which is Sophia K. Alcorn's family home. They moved into this house on Danville Avenue in 1885. She invented the Tadoma method of communication with people who were deaf and blind. The Alcorn family lived in the house until 1975. So it is privately owned, but you can drive past it and see it. The L&N Railroad once stopped in Stanford, which is a big city in Lincoln County, and you can learn about its history at the beautifully restored L&N Depot and Museum. And that's actually why, and if you stop in Stanford, the rest stop, they have a little red caboose, and that's why they have that there. It's Darling. That's where we would always stop on our way to see my grandparents. We'd say, oh, we'll meet you at the caboose. And then William Whitley House and Sportsman Hill, built about 1785. It was the first brick house west of the Alleghenies. Home of William Whitley, the pioneer, and it says Indian fighter, we'll say Native American fighter, and his wife Esther. Across the road is Sportsman's Hill, one of the earliest horse tracks, which ran counterclockwise. This, which I believe now, I think they all run counterclockwise. This site offers seasonal horse tours, shelter rentals, a playground, hiking trails, and a gift shop. That sounds like somewhere we all need to go. Then we have Buffalo Springs Cemetery. It was the first courthouse in Kentucky, was built on this location in 1783. During the Civil War, it was the site of a Confederate encampment. Today, it is one of the oldest cemeteries in Kentucky and contains the graves of many Revolutionary soldiers. We have McCormick Christian Church and Cemetery, erected in 1819 with brick kilned on the site. McCormick Christian Church was known as the church because everyone, including enslaved people, were welcome to worship there. Services are held still today every Sunday. And lastly, we have Cedar Creek Lake, Kentucky's premier bass fishing lake. It is ranked number 30 in the nation by Field and Steam magazine for bass fishing. It is a 780-acre sportsman fishing lake. Wow, that's huge. That's a whole lot of fish. And then we have Bourbon County. They have some pretty horse farms. Our wonderful SDS agent Kay suggests Runnymede Farm. She says that you can eat and drink bourbon at the Trackside Historic Depot. Enjoy the quaint, welcoming atmosphere and its scenic surroundings, including horses and the Stoner Fork of Licking River, which Licking River is pretty. Tour Claiborne Farm at the birthplace of Secretariat and cornerstone of Kentucky's horse breeding industry. If you have not heard of Secretariat, oh, well, I'm getting lots of nods, so I won't even go to them. I'm sure that everyone has then. It says to check out the Cane Ridge Meeting House, the United States' oldest and most significant church buildings. I'm thinking one of, constructed in 1791. You can explore Duncan Tavern, headquarters of the Kentucky Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Is anybody in here a member of DAR? No? Okay, I didn't know if anybody was, but still might be very interesting to go visit. You can stroll through Reed Valley Orchard. We have some beautiful orchards all across Kentucky here, and I think one of the most interesting things is how we all have different terrain from across the country, and even you drive an hour east or west and it's different. So seeing the different orchards and what they can do is something really interesting to do. And then lastly, she says, enjoy the quaint. We already read that one. Bourbon County. My goodness. And then we have Mercer County, who they have a festival called Pioneer Days, which I've actually been to before, and it is a lot of fun, lots of good food and vendors that come out that sell different crafts and items that they have. They have a corn maze and pumpkin patch in the fall. In the fall, they also have Oktoberfest, which is a tribute to the German version of Oktoberfest. They have a brewery there, which Kentucky, of course, is very famous for our breweries and distilleries, and even our vineyards. So Lemon's Mill is the one in Mercer County. They also have Kentucky Heritage Jazz Festival that I have also visited a couple times, and it has great music. They have some really talented people there, and I would highly recommend going. Shaker Village of Pleasant Hill, if you have not heard about the Shakers, they have some really interesting history, and I think that just doing a little digging and seeing what you find out about them is, you might be surprised that we had something like that here in Kentucky and just right down the road. And then lastly, we have Old Fort Herod State Park. And if you start with this one and then go to Boonesboro, that's probably the way I would go if you have the opportunity, just because Boonesboro is a little bit bigger, but they are both really beautiful. Then we have Boyle County. There is a battlefield, the Perryville Battlefield in Perryville. And then I believe she has, what does she say for shopping? Merchants Row? Is that what that says?
Mhm.
Merchants Row. And then also in Main Street in Danville is some great shopping and eating as well. And then we have, if you like to hike, the Kentucky Wildlife Refuge in Parksville, Kentucky. And while you're hiking, like it says, sounds like there's lots of wildlife you can see. And I believe they have some signs to help you identify wildlife as well. Our wonderful agent there, Alethea, suggests the still at Blue Rook to eat. So if you are in Danville, you may want to stop by the Blue Rook. And then Pioneer Playhouse is another place that you can go and enjoy live theater. And they put on some really, really high quality productions.
Sorry. I brought my cheat sheet up with me, sorry. So our first little part that I have up here is, High Bridge. Yes, so it was built in, 1877. It's the highest railroad, trestle in the world. As part of the busiest north-south route in the nation, it's still heavily used. You can go walk out there and overlook the Kentucky River. It's actually stunning. There's some paths out there. You can take walks. It's really pretty. Below that, we have our, Camp Nelson National Cemetery and the monument. So this was actually in 1866. The United States government gave 8 acres to establish the cemetery. Camp Nelson in general just played a vital role in supplying the U.S. Army. They house 700 beds, hospital beds on site to care for the sick and wounded. Now we have an amazing museum there. You can go, you actually can like relive camp life. It's really, really cool. I guess they just talked, I don't know. That's cool. Up there we have Tailor Made. If you, this was family owned and it's been since 1976. It has raised some of the biggest sales, so that's cool. I think a lot of the horses are in, they have had some in the Derby, so that's pretty cool. First Vineyard Winery, sorry. Vineyard Winery, sorry. That was in 1994. They bought this land and then later realized, the history of it and how it was site of one of the first ones. So they have reopened it again in, 2012. Now there's a, little bed and breakfast and a stay there. You can stay there for the weekend. It's really pretty there as well. And then lastly, we have our Jessamine, Creek Gorge. It is 155 acres. There are some wooded, some wooded dirt trails, that overlook the, creek. It's stunning. Be careful. I think there was an accident there a couple years ago, so it still might be under, it might be closed down for a little bit. But again, it's gorgeous. There's some lighter paths and there's some little heavier paths, but overall it's gorgeous.
Thanks, Sarah. And if you all didn't know, I don't know if this was before or after, but after Prohibition, the first winery in the country to open was in Kentucky. So California typically gets the claim to fame for wine. When we think of wine, we think, oh, Napa Valley, but Kentucky has some really high quality wineries as well. She's gonna come
I'll
up.
share.
This is Caitlin Lunsford, our FCS agent in Garrett County.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I am lucky enough to have been raised in Garrett County. And now I am privileged to be back working in Garrett County. We're definitely a smaller, more rural county, but we have some little hidden gems that I want to share with you all this morning. We of course have some really beautiful nature preserves, which I shared a couple of them. This isn't all of them, but we have the Dupree Nature Preserve, which is a really beautiful area in Lancaster, which is our county seat right here. And it is great for bird watching and photography. There's some hiking trails there. And then we have the Tom Dorman State Nature Preserve, which we share kind of on the border with Jessamine County, and some really beautiful hiking trails and views that you can see there. The history portion, we've got the Governor William Owsley House, and William Owsley was the 16th governor of Kentucky, and so that is his home. It was built in 1804 and it has since been renovated and converted into a museum. Actually have a memory from high school. In my high school drama class, we performed, it was Cholera Comes to Garrett County.
Oh, no.
It was super cheery, wonderful subject. But historically accurate. I just remember being a little cholera-ridden kid in the play. But it was a really cool opportunity that, you know, they had the high school drama department come in and we got to wear the period costumes and reenact real history that took place in Garrett County, although not the happiest. We also have the Lancaster Grand Theater, which is a really cool little gym located in the square of Lancaster, and there are lots of live shows that happen there. They bring in lots of musical acts. I think most recently we've had like Dylan Carmichael perform there. Alex Miller, who is from Garrett County, and did he win The Voice? I think he won The Voice or one of those singing competitions, but he's become pretty successful, and he's actually from Garrett County. He performed there pretty recently. Montgomery Gentry. They also do local theater events there. The high school performs. They show old movies.
Cholera Comes to Jessamine County.
We didn't make it there to the Grand Theater. We kept it really historically accurate by being in the Owsley House. But they play old movies and have shows, and it's just a really cute little spot in Lancaster if you get the chance to go. We're always looking for good eats in Garrett County. We get really excited when good places come to us and when we have good restaurants open up. And recently we've had Keys and Crows
open, in downtown Lancaster, and it's Italian cuisine. I've eaten there and the food is really good. So if you like pizza, pasta, we were really super excited to get that in Garrett County because we're small and we have a lot of beautiful things, but we don't have a plethora of eating options, just at our fingertips. So, but the few things we do have, I think are really high quality and it's a beautiful place to visit. So if you get a chance to come on down to Garrett County, about an hour south of here, we would be most happy to have you. But I will turn it back over. That's Garrett County.
Now we have Scott County. We have Country Boy Brewing, which is a brewing company. Obviously, if you have seen, Country Boy has lots of, what is that called when they send it out?
Distributors. Craft beer.
Yeah, they have lots of craft beer that gets distributed into many stores and many restaurants all over, but they do have some local breweries in town. And then Ward Hall is, what does that say about it? Kentucky's
Greek Revival masterpiece.
So as you can tell, it does have those gorgeous Greek columns. I'm honestly not sure what Ward Hall is. But then they have Festival of the Horse, which is a very interesting festival during the late summer, I believe, that celebrates what Kentucky is most known for, the horse. So if you have a chance, definitely head on over to Georgetown to embrace the Festival of the Horse. And now we have Anderson County. So Anderson County is super duper close by. It is over in, what is that? Thank you. That's the Lawrenceburg. I'm like, I should know that. Lawrenceburg. And they have lots of fun to do as well. They have on their main street downtown some shopping. The one that is being suggested to us by their FCS agent is Sweet Mash. They have a really good restaurant called Heavens to Betsy. Just bring a jacket because sometimes it is really cold in there, but it is absolutely delicious. And then outdoor fun, they have something called Rails to Trails, which I have not actually heard of that. Our staff assistant, Hannah, lives in Anderson County, and then our county manager is from Anderson County. So I hear stuff about it all the time, but I've not heard of that one. And then they have Cedar Brook Trail. So another hiking trail that would be fun. They have Healing Field, which is a historic site. If you would like to go visit that, they have Young High Bridge, which is a really pretty outdoor site. It is used to run the Tyrone Railroad, and it is a beautiful bridge that you can see over the river. And then they have a Burgoo Festival. So as I was talking about Burgoo at Keeneland that you can eat, Anderson County has a whole festival for it. So if you don't love the one at Keeneland, which you'll love it. But if you don't, you could always come to Anderson County during the Burgoo Festival and try different kinds of burgoo to see kind of which one you prefer.
Of course, we started the road trip in Frankfort at the Thomas D. Clark Center for Kentucky History. But these are the sites of interest in Franklin County that Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences, Carla Carter, sent in. So we'll start at the top with Kentucky State University, which is our partner in the land-grant university system and part of the Cooperative Extension Service. Then we have the Grand Theater, which is located in downtown Frankfort and is a performing and visual arts center with a rich history dating back to 1911. Of course, next we have the Kentucky State Capitol, and this impressive Beaux Arts style building has been our Kentucky Center for Government since 1910. Right below that, we have the Josephine Sculpture Park. This outdoor gallery features nearly 70 artworks spread across 40 acres of meadows and forests, and it is free to visit and offers a unique experience with contemporary art in a natural setting. Next to that, we have Buffalo Trace Distillery, which is known for producing award-winning bourbon, and it has been in operation for over 200 years. And then we round out Franklin County with the Switzer Covered Bridge, which was built in 1855, and it spans the North Elkhorn Creek and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Everything, I did want to tell you all one more thing about the Kentucky Castle that a lot of people don't know. If you dine there, because I thought most people knew this, but I learned a few weeks ago, most people don't, or a lot of people don't know this. They are farm to table. So everything that you are eating there, they have either raised or purchased locally. And so all of their stuff is fresh. It is delicious. They have a wonderful horticulture program going out there. They even have students that come and work out there throughout the year. And they have a huge thing with lavender that they do that they grow completely, and it's typically grown in their front lawn. So if you drive by and see a bunch of purple, that's what that is. And it smells so good when you walk up there. But I didn't know that some people didn't know it was farm to table. And so they're really trying to keep the money in Woodford County.
What a perfect way to wrap up our local eating session of Big Blue Book Club. Because that is, if we can keep the money from Kentucky agriculture in Kentucky, then that benefits all of us.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, all of the restaurants, all of the roadside markets, all of the farmers markets that we can partake and support, that really does benefit all of us.